Hello, everybody, all of our listeners. This is Gino Johnson, CEO of Champions for Veterans, and I am so excited to really just say hey and thank you so much for listening to Convos with Heroes, where we have conversations with heroes who are just doing amazing things. We got a special guest on with us today, Carl Patterson, and we're excited to hear his story and share what he has to say to the world for him as a hero. So, but of course, I want to go ahead and say hey to my dad and say welcome to him as well.
All right, son. Glad to be here. We got a great American hero that's going to share with us, Carl. So can't wait to hear your story.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Carl, thank you so much for being on with us, sir. So I have an intro for Carl. I'll read before we hear a little bit more of his story. So Carl Patterson is a seasoned pharmaceutical manufacturing, aseptic processing, and quality assurance professional who is based in San Diego, California. As soon as he discovered the importance of biotechnology in the area, he was inspired to enter the pharmaceutical manufacturing industry. However, his avid interest in all things biology, microbiology, and biochemistry officially began when he served in the U.S. Army for 15 years as a preventative medicine specialist and a licensed vocational nurse. To date, Carl has now garnered over 2 decades worth of extensive hands-on expertise. Currently, he is the chief consultant of his very own consultant business called asepticprocess.net. That is aseptic-process.net, where he specializes in the aseptic processing of pharmaceutical products in the pharmaceutical manufacturing sector. Recently, he is in the process of creating webinars so he can share pertinent information about pharmaceutical manufacturing from a microbiological perspective. Furthermore, Carl holds various degrees and certifications, including an MS in biomedical quality systems from San Diego State University, a BS in microbiology from the University of Texas, specialized certificates in QA/QC and biotechnology, and data science from UCSD. Wow.
Sorry about that.
No, this is awesome, Carl. This is awesome. When he isn't providing consultation for quality and manufacturing clients, Carl enjoys fishing and practicing martial arts. Okay. As a family man, he loves nothing more than spending quality time with his beautiful wife and children, which is exactly why he strives to work remotely as an independent consultant to be there for his loved ones more often. To find out more about Carl Patterson and his consultancy firm, please visit his official business website, www.aseptic-process.net. That is www.aseptic-process.net. Good to have you on, Carl. How you doing, sir?
Good. How are you? Sorry, that was a long. That's the long version.
Hey, look, son, hold on. I gotta say this before Carl tells us about him. I got smoke coming out of my ears. Okay. I'm trying to figure out septic, biochemical, about a quarter way through that. I'm like, is he speaking English? What am I? So man, I can't wait to hear your story. I just hope you break it down where the layperson like me can understand.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry that I usually use that. I have a shorter version for my webinar. So I do a lot of webinars teaching people in the biotechnology industry on different subjects and different topics. So, but I'd like to go back a little bit further and kind of talk about how I came into the military, how my life was in the military, what happened when I got out, stuff like that. So
yeah,
I joined the active Army in the summer of 1990 and went to basic training at Fort Dix, New Jersey. Did basic there, did training in Fort Sam Houston as a preventive medicine specialist. Then went to Fort Bragg for jump school, and then went to Fort Benning for jump school, and then went to Fort Bragg for my first duty assignment. So I was there at Fort Bragg for 5 years. I was an airborne paratrooper, a medic, did all the stuff with all the airborne guys. Was there for a few years and then changed my MOS to nursing and then became a licensed vocational nurse from there. Went back to San Antonio, was in San Antonio for a year, was deployed to Korea for a year, got done, was at Fort Hood for another year. Once I got off of active duty, I stayed in Texas and went to University of Texas, got my degree in microbiology, stayed in the reserves for another 7 years, enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. And then about the time I was getting ready to graduate from my bachelor's degree, my dad had a heart attack. So I decided to move back to San Diego. And when I came back here to San Diego, I found out that there was a huge biotech industry. I didn't even know that when I was a kid, that there was this huge biotech industry here in San Diego. And I grew up here. I lived here for a long time. So it was very interesting to come back and see all this biotech and the industry and where it was going and everything. So I started in manufacturing. I started basically washing dishes, doing glassware, doing all kinds of stuff, and then just moved up through the ranks to where now I'm a consultant, and then I also work as a director of quality for another company. So yeah, it's been a long, hard road. A lot of different things have happened, with good, some bad. But yeah, that's pretty much my story.
Wow.
So okay, I gotta ask this question because again, you gotta understand, I'm old infantry grunt, so I need this broken down, like put left foot, right foot. I need it like that. So when you say biotech, what is that like? What do you make dishwashing liquid, man? I mean, break it down where a guy like me can understand. What is it?
So basically, you know how the new vaccine that's out, the COVID vaccine, right? The COVID vaccine that's out. It's basically that's biotechnology. So it's basically taking something that's already in your body, that's biology, and using it to your advantage. It's basically making your body make the proteins and becomes a vaccine. So
Okay,
that's basically breaking it down and just using biology and microbiology to create the things we need. You know, it's everything from vaccines to drugs to beer. Beer is actually a really good one. Beer is biotechnology. So beer, wine, all of that is part of biotechnology in that it takes different strains of bacteria to create the taste that you want for beer. So it's very interesting.
It is really.
wow, that is, man. So look, let's go back a little bit because I love your background. Of course, I know a little bit about Fort Bragg. I was there quite a long time. Uh, run up and down Ardennes and
Oh yeah.
all those different spots,
Yeah.
right? How does a guy, man, because you're pretty brilliant, man, uh, join the army as an enlisted guy? Did you think about being an officer first, or you just wanted to get in as an enlisted? Or take me through the process of even want to jump in and then be a medic. Give me your mindset on that. How did that happen?
So eventually I wanted to go to school and I wanted to use the GI Bill. So the GI Bill basically paid for my bachelor's degree when I got off of active duty. So that was my thinking, was my parents couldn't afford to send me to college. And they said, well, if you're going to go to college, you're going to have to figure it out on your own. So that's
Right.
basically what I did. And my dad was in the army. My grandfather was in the army. I mean, we had a long history of people being in the military. So I was like, okay, well, let me try it this way.
Okay.
And I found a good position that worked for me. The preventive medicine specialist is basically a health inspector. I come out and make sure all your food's okay, all your water is okay, all the facilities are up to snuff. So all of that was right up my alley. So I enjoyed that quite a bit. So yeah, that's where I wanted to just get a college education.
Man, that's amazing because, I mean, of course, 20 years in the Army and having a lot of medics and being around Special Forces medics. And you're talking about what you did. And I'm trying to figure out right now, have I even met a guy like you when I served? I mean, I can't say I have. Or maybe if a guy like you came around and was looking at the mess hall, I was a first sergeant, had a down facility and things like that. Uh, I'm sure you inspected different things like that. I don't even remember knowing a guy that did your job my whole 20 years.
Wow.
It's
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
even we worked with some of the special forces guys. We also worked with all the 82nd Airborne and stuff like that. So we do have units with them. And we were the ones who would make sure that they had all their shots, right? So we were the ones who would look through your records, your medical records, say, oh, you need this shot and you need that shot. So that's another, if you probably saw us there when they're getting your stick, that was us.
Yes. Yeah, because you get a list of what shots you need and you just go take them.
Yep.
And that was a guy like you. So take me through the changing up from enlisted to being a nurse. Was that an officer candidate school, or what was your mindset on doing that too? Take me through that process.
So that was an enlisted, they have two types of nurses. They have a licensed vocational nurse and they have an RN. So an RN does a little bit more. The LVN is basically, there's not much difference in the military as far as what a nurse does and what an LVN does. The big changes are when you get into the civilian world of what you can and cannot do. So I liked helping people. I liked being part of that. I enjoyed the medical field. So I wanted to switch that up a little bit. And just, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. Worked on ICU, worked in ER, worked in Germany when all the troops were coming through from Afghanistan and Iraq. Worked at Landstuhl there. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome, Carl. Wow. Was being a nurse something you wanted to do from your upbringing, or did you discover that when you were in the service?
I kind of discovered that when I was in the service. I knew I wanted to be in the medical field, but I really didn't know where I wanted to end up. So the LVN licensed vocational nurse was a good place to start. So, and that's where I started. It did help me when I got out as well. When I was going to school, I was able to work. I worked at the school at the University of Texas. I worked for the prison system as an LVN. I worked at different places as an LVN. They send me out to all kinds of different places. And my military background, knowing and having that background, they were like, we'll take you wherever you want to go, we'll send you. So that's what they did.
Wow. I'm always want to talk about the airborne side of it too. You had to be pretty unique going in that field as a paratrooper, because I guarantee you there weren't a whole lot of paratroopers that were nurses when you got away from Fort Bragg.
Right. Yeah, there wasn't very many.
So I got a civilian question over here. What is a paratrooper? Tell everybody what a paratrooper is.
Well, I'm sure your dad probably has a better understanding. My understanding is I get in an airplane and I jump out of it and my chute opens and I land. That's it.
Yeah. Hey, son, that's a great question, because I mean, Carl, he kind of hit it on the head. You go to what's called Fort Benning and jump schools. You go learn how to jump out of airplanes. Yeah. And when I went through, and I've been retired 21 years. The school was 3 weeks long when I went through it. Yeah. And you got a chance to get 5 jumps out of an airplane, and then they sent you off to whatever unit you was going to be. And some guys just went, to the school just to get jump wings, and that's fine. But I know for a fact, Carl, going to the 82nd, he probably had a lot of jumps at the 82nd. How many years were you at the 82nd, Carl?
I was there for 5 years.
Okay. And for folks that don't know too, I got to make this civilian proof. The 82nd Airborne at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. It's the biggest airborne division right now in the Army. And all those guys do is go up and jump out of planes quite a bit. Carl, you know how many jumps you had, man? Do you know how many jumps you had?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
I don't want to remember. Maybe I don't want to remember.
Yeah. All right. So look, take us to this. So you're there, you go to school, you're in Texas, you got that part. Your dad, you said, had a heart attack, got sick. You get back to San Diego. Now, I really need to understand this. First of all, I need to know a couple of things. What made you believe you could even start a business? You could be a consultant. And what made you believe you could get in this technical field that you're into and be successful? I know that's a lot, but kind of take me through that process.
So in my industry, it's usually the consultants who have, several years of experience. So I didn't even have the experience when I got here to San Diego. So I started at the bottom. I started the way bottom would be like in the kitchen peeling potatoes. That's where I started, was washing dishes. And then you slowly work your way up. And it was just tenacity and finding what I wanted and what I enjoyed to do and what I like to do, and just working up that ladder. It takes some time. It definitely took a lot of time to get to where I'm at now, but it's definitely worth it. I've helped a lot of people along the way with the webinars, and then I mentor some people who are trying to get into the industry. So it's actually helped out quite a bit. My military training comes in really handy too, because everything has to be here in my industry. Everything has to look nice and pretty, and it has to be dressed, everything. And if it's off, something's wrong. So
Yeah.
that attention to detail is something that a lot of employers look for in this industry. So that has
So
helped me out immensely.
So take me through, give me an example of what a day looks like for Carl. Because again, I've never talked to a guy that does what you do. I'm really trying to understand it while I'm asking these questions because it's pretty fascinating to me. And I've never talked to a guy that does what you do. So, I mean, give me a day or two of your life. You get up in the morning, kind of run me through well, I mean, don't get too technical because you'll lose me, but kind of take me through a day in your life, a day or two.
So with aseptic manufacturing, it's basically we produce drugs, right? Everybody gets their shots, everybody gets medications and stuff. So a lot of times the industry to create this shot, everything has to be sterile and really clean, and you can't have any organisms in it. You can't even have any contamination. So what aseptic processing is I get up, I go into the facility, they formulate the drug product, and then we fill it. We basically fill it into vials, either either by hand or by a machine, and it's all very clean. I guess that's probably the best way to say it. It's all very clean. So
when they started talking about, and again, I'm just trying to understand, even because you brought this up, when they started talking about even the vaccine for COVID, you understood, you had a better understanding probably than 99.99% of people in the world about how that came about.
right, and how they actually manufacture it and what they have to do in order to get that through. So
take us through some of that, man, since that's kind of relevant to what we're doing, and you do that if you don't mind.
all right, so basically they're going to have to, and I'm sure they have to manufacture it, and it's what they call an mRNA vaccine, where so they have to manufacture the mRNA. They may use mammalian cells, they may use some other types of cells to produce this, and then they isolate it, they formulate, may do some additional work on it, and then they formulate it, and then it goes into they filter it, and then it goes into filling. So that process in of itself, depending on how big the lot is and what your timeline is, could take some time. There are companies out here in San Diego that what they call contract people, where these companies will just say, hey, could you just fill this for us? And they're like, okay. And that's what they do. That's all they do. They just fill stuff, formulate it, fill it, formulate, fill it, and that's all they do. So yeah, when it comes to understanding how that vaccine came out, I have a pretty good idea.
Wow. My God, man, this is fascinating. So now you're working in the field. How does one, how does one expand business? And I know you got your own company and you go and consult with other people. Is that a very populated field? Is it competitive? I mean, because I don't know nothing about it. I'm trying to understand it.
Right. So as a consulting, it can be pretty competitive. I'm building up my clientele, building up my customers, finding out, what do they need? How do they need it? What are they looking for? Are they looking for something special that I can do? Are they looking for somebody to do the quality work? Are they looking for somebody to do manufacturing? So it's a lot of that is just trying to figure out here what it is. There are a lot of companies who deal with consultants, and there's huge companies. So it's just trying to find that niche that works for you. And that's
Right.
where I'm at.
Right. Go ahead and give us your website again and spell it out, man. Don't say the word. When my son said whatever word he said, I don't even know how to spell that word. I mean, you got to make this grunt proof, man. Spell out your website for me. Go ahead, and everybody else watching.
The website is aseptic-process.net, and that's ASEP TIC dash process, PROCESS.net.
Say it again.
Aseptic dash process.net. So ASEPTIC dash PROCESS.net.
Great. That's the first time I've written this down because I didn't understand anything he said, and I didn't want to sound too bad like a what, a who, a aseptic.net. All right. So talk about, man, look, tell me about this. Talk about some of your people that even motivated you or mentored you to get to where you are and be successful, whether it's your dad or people in the military. Give us some of those stories if you don't mind.
Yeah, so in the military, I had quite a few mentors, some really good officers that really helped me out a lot. My second company commander, his name was Lieutenant Silver. He helped me out quite a bit. He was a good mentor and helped me quite a bit with trying to figure out what I needed to do. And once he found out that I wanted to do something, he helped me get there. So he was very good in that regards. When I was in the reserves, I dealt with a lot of different people that I enjoy and they helped me out. My best friend's father was a Command Sergeant Major Geraldo. He was a good friend of mine too, and he's helped me out quite a bit too. Times when I didn't have my dad, I lived in Texas at the time. My family was here. Times when I didn't have my dad or someone to talk to, he was always there for me as well. And then even here now in the biotech, I've had some bosses that have been really good mentors, people that I wish I could have stayed longer with them, but for whatever reason, I couldn't. So, and I still keep in touch with them. It's that network I still have. It's a network I still have.
So give us some things on why you believe you've been successful also. I know we got mentors, and the reason why I'm saying this, I give you a good example. Uh, you know, I've had phenomenal mentors in my life, and I can name them out that helped me to become successful. And without those guys, I don't know where I would have been, sitting me down and basically giving me guidance. Some of the things that maybe I attribute to my success has been, those kind of guys and scheduling and discipline and things like that. Give us some other pointers because people watching this video, they may not want to be in the biotech, they want to be successful like Carl. So what else can you tell us?
So from changing that military, from that military attitude to the civilian attitude, that took a little bit of it was difficult. It was difficult to say the least. I've definitely had my hits from it, but in the long run, it's good. Some of the aspects of it are good, and some of the aspects, or you're kind of, you're like, okay, I just had this. I need to stop it that way. I was a staff sergeant in the reserves, and I'm used to the staff sergeant telling people what to do and how to do it and when it was done. And sometimes in the civilian world, that doesn't happen. So just just learning to be patient and learn patience is probably your best friend.
I'm laughing with you, not at you, right? When I retired from the military, for the most part, I've been an entrepreneur, but I moved and I had a 2-year time period. I actually took a job in management with a big box store. And it was really my first ever time working with civilians. And my wife had tried to tell me, baby, this is not the Army. And I told her, I'm good. And so I remember going to work and I wasn't being mean. I was like, okay, we need dot, 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 bam, and I'm gone. And I found out something. A lot of people go to work not to work. and that was eye-opening for me because a lot of people went to work in that big box store and they didn't go there like Ranger Johnson coming there driving on, let's go, rah, 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 rah. Mm-hmm. They went to work a little bit, get their check and go home and do the minimum amount that they could get away with to still keep a job.
Right.
And and really, I would tell you straight up, that, I had a great team and they finally got used to me and I got used to them, but it was tough for me.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, my wife did the same thing. She's like, it's gonna be a little different than what you were in the military. I'm like, nah, it's okay. I got it. I know what I'm doing. I got it. I know how to do it. They taught me everything in military. I'm good. And then a
I,
few years later, it finally dawned on me like, yeah, she was right.
Oh, and look, I feel like we hear that story so many times that it's just so common how different the military is versus just the civilian world. And it's really, I mean, of course, being on the outside looking in, growing up in a house with my dad and how he operates versus going to work, it was always like, hey, there's no competition. Just get up every day, work hard, get it done, and it's easy to be successful if you just are consistent. You just don't see it as much in the in civilian world. I wanted to ask you just a question, just in regards to your military service. Like, what's the most important lesson you learned over your career?
Over my career, probably just determination to get the job done and to find your goals and meet your goals.
Mm-hmm.
That helped me out immensely when I was trying to go through school. While I was in school, while I was in the reserves, I was in school and just trying to get and doing what I wanted to do and just sheer determination to get it done. So
Wow.
I know a big part of what we do is serving others, and I can tell you do the same thing. And we talk about this all the time, how we can best serve people through what we do and things of that nature. What are some of the things that you do maybe to serve your customers? Could be your community. What are some of the things you're doing, just to serve others in your life? What are some of those things?
so some of those things I've taken a couple of, well, if I go back a little bit, my dad's buried here at Miramar. So every year we go and relay the wreaths on the gravestones every year. So that's
Wow.
something that's one way I give back. What I've done for professionally is I'll take if there's people who have questions or need a mentor for the industry, because I know there's people who are trying to get in this industry and trying to put themselves a little bit above everybody else. And I can kind of give them tips, and I've mentored them into their positions. So that is how I've done it. Try to give people a little more patience, and just learning patience in general helps them out a lot. So
Wow. So I'm a big martial arts guy. I mean, I used to study Wing Chun Kung Fu, and one of my sons is in the Navy. He's big into, the UFC thing and MMA and all that kind of stuff, and jujitsu and all that. What form do you study?
So I started off with Taekwondo in college. So I did Taekwondo in college. And then now currently I'm doing Tong Sudo, which is Tong Sudo is a Korean martial art. There
Okay.
was Taekwondo and then there was Tong Sudo. I've done both. So right now I'm studying Tong Sudo.
Yeah, yeah. So you're studying every week, you go to classes,
I go to class 3 times a week.
Wow.
oh, you're serious about it.
Mhm.
Oh my God.
Yep.
You're serious, man. People better not mess with Carl out there. I'm telling you, man. you walk up on Carl if you want to. I tell people when I was taking a martial arts, you can't judge a book by its cover, man.
Mhm.
My instructor, I love to tell this story. He was a real skinny guy, real skinny guy, white guy. He looked like a college professor, had glasses on, and very professional kind of going and, talking. And I want you to give me a martial arts story after I tell you mine. So I'm sitting there one day, in this Wing Chun class, and I didn't know if I wanted to take it or not, because I'm at that time I'm in my 20s. I'm a Green Beret. I'm chiseled. I'm hardcore. I see this little skinny guy this big telling me he could teach me something, literally. So we walk into the office, Carl. He says, Terry, I see you kind of got questions about what we're doing here. I'm going to take a phone book, and as a matter of fact, I would like for you. I'm going to put it on my chest. I want you to hit it as hard as you can. He takes a thick phone book, put it on his chest, and I drive back and I boom. And I thought I did it pretty good. And he went, very good. You got good potential. Good potential. He says, now I want you to put the phone book on your chest, but I'm not going to draw back. I'm only going to put the tip of my finger and just hit it like that. Is that okay? Sure. I'm thinking, this dude, man. He said, now brace yourself. I'm thinking, right. Carl, I braced myself and he went, boom, and almost went over the desk. And I signed up. And I thought, oh my God. What are some of the martial arts stories, some stuff you've seen, man, that maybe amaze you of what people can do?
When I went and did Taekwondo, I did Taekwondo in college, and I was a later student. I was like 33 years old, 32, 33. All the other kids are like 20, 24, 25, right? And I remember going into the tournaments, and because I did competitive tournaments and I wanted to do that. And I remember coming into the tournaments, and the guys who I would be against were, because I was a big boy, so they were taller than me, bigger than me. And I just remember just trying to move just so they wouldn't hit me, and then learning the technique to get in and then hit them and punch them and get them and get the points. And that to me was very amazing. Just somebody like me who really didn't have a whole lot of, I'm not very well coordinated, to go in and just do that and to achieve that. Recently I had both my hips replaced.
Okay.
From jumping out airplanes and whatever. And so I had to take a year off from martial arts. It was just getting too much from my hips. But I've been back within the last year, and I actually have my hips, or my stretching and my agility is 10 times better than what it was before, because of my hips. So that is amazing of itself. I'm thrilled. I'm glad I have them done, and I'm able to go back to doing what I love. So.
Wow, that's incredible, man. Both hip replacements. Can I ask, how old are you, Carl?
I am 50.
Wow. Yeah, yeah. That's what I tell people, man. That airborne stuff ain't no joke, man. I got serious back issues myself from about 120 jumps out of airplanes. I know probably about like you, I would definitely do it again. But I'm always amazed when I meet, and you're considered young to have both hips replaced. When I meet young guys, under 50 with both knees replaced and hips replaced, I tell people that's, kind of the price of service for sure.
Yep.
For sure, man.
Yep.
So look, next thing, and brother, I'm enjoying the conversation for sure. So where do you see yourself, man, from a business standpoint in the next few years? Expanding, how you going to expand? Talk about that.
So definitely expanding, probably maybe not in a physical sense, like having a building or anything like that. I definitely like the work from home trend that's going on. It definitely works for me, and it works for a lot of my clients as well. So hopefully I'll be able to do more work from home, necessarily not going in. That's how I see my business expanding, working with more clients, doing more of the stuff that I enjoy. That's pretty much it. I definitely want to do more.
Now, what are some of the things you enjoy doing with your family, man? I mean, I love the martial arts aspect of it. I just bought me a nice motorcycle, and I'm enjoying riding that thing. My son knows, I got to get my motorcycle riding time in. Got a Honda Gold Wing trike. You live in San Diego, brother. I know how beautiful it is down there. Well, tell us about some of the recreational things you like doing.
Fishing.
Really?
Just either freshwater fishing, or at the lakes. They have the lakes here, or deep sea fishing. Deep sea fishing is a lot of fun.
Wow. So do you have your own boat, or you got friends with boats? Or how did you do that?
Usually here, they're not very expensive. They do a half-day trip or three-quarter-day trip. Sometimes they go down to Mexico, since we're so close to the border. We'll catch fish. I've caught tuna, mahi, which is the dolphin fish. It's common fish here. What else have I caught? Rockfish. And then this year I took a trip to Alaska and caught fish in Alaska. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, son, I'll let you start to wrap up and get your questions. You got good deal.
Some good stuff, man. I love some mahi. I love some fish, man. So I can imagine it's probably, you probably catch that fish. Do you ever like, how do you end up cooking it? You ever cook it on the boat, or you just take it off? I don't even know.
I usually just take it off and freeze it, and then when it's ready, I cook it.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Wow, nice, man. That's amazing. Fresh fish. I got a question for you about when you were a nurse. So I feel like, anytime I hear anybody in the medical profession, of course, people who serve and people in the medical profession, it's just like you're a first responder. You're there doing amazing things, helping people. Like give us a story about when you were a nurse in the Army, and just something amazing that you did while you were there.
Oh, let's see. One of the things that I really enjoyed that I liked while I was in is I was a platoon sergeant for the reserve unit in San Antonio. It was the 5501st U.S. Army Hospital. And I worked with them for a long time. And I enjoyed going there every weekend and seeing all my troops, seeing where they were doing, where they were at and what they were doing, keeping in touch with them, making sure that they were okay. That was all stuff that I enjoyed. I don't want to get too graphic. I can get pretty graphic on a couple of things, but I don't want to. But yeah, I've seen a lot, even in Germany, when I was in Germany and troops were coming in, there was quite a bit of stuff as well. So definitely enjoyed it. Definitely had a lot of fun. Saw a lot of stuff, but it's part of the field. So.
Yeah. For the people that don't know, it may, listen to the podcast. What happens oftentimes, a lot of times, when service members are hurt overseas and fighting in combat in Iraq or maybe Afghanistan, they'll bring them over to Germany first before they bring them back to the States. And so I know a lot of the doctors and nurses that, you say, well, they may not be, quote, operating in a combat environment, but they still witness the same things because they get these service members straight off the battlefield into those hospitals in Germany, and they have to try to help, sustain life and get those folks back to duty or make sure they save their lives. And a lot of people may not realize that that's what happens, but I know you do for sure, Carl, because you have to deal with it.
Yeah. We did have a lot of the definitely a lot of injuries, definitely a lot of different things. Definitely when they had the surges in Fallujah, we definitely felt the brunt of that.
So can you just give a general story on helping somebody, man, that you thought maybe they weren't gonna make it, but they came in pretty rough, and you please don't give their name. I know you wouldn't, but
right,
a soldier or something came in, and you saw them come back and at least be able to leave the hospital.
So a lot of the soldiers we would get were IED soldiers. A lot of them with a lot of different wounds, a lot of very deep wounds. And I remember one of the patients I was working on, I was cleaning him up, and I could literally take my hand and put my hand between the skin in his back and his back. I could put my hand all the way through the back, and he was gonna make it, but he was definitely gonna have some problems later on. But I was definitely glad to see that he was able to move on his own accord we transferred him over to Walter Reed after they were done. So a lot of the injuries that we got were a lot of head injuries, soldiers who had eye and vision problems, brain swelling, stuff like that. After a certain period of time, the brain swelling does come down. So, they're able to survive and move on. It just takes time.
Wow. And for the people who don't know, Walter Reed is a big hospital in Washington, D.C. And, you'll see, a lot of the senators and people, whatnot, going over to Walter Reed. And, they handle a lot of serious things. See, you're a hero, bro. We're talking about convos of heroes. This is a primary example that a lot of people won't realize. And I always like to tell folks that I deal with in our course that's in the medical field, you've seen a lot over your lifetime, things that a lot of people won't see. And so, man, just think of all the lives that you saved. And I know, a lot of guys don't like getting on here talking about that, but I wanted to bring that up because you're valuable and you made a difference in guys' lives, man. Now that some of them are living their lives with a family, and had you not taken care of them and your team there in Germany, they may not be here.
Yeah, it's nice when I know it doesn't happen very often, but I like to see how patients are when they're better, and you like to see that you did something and made a difference. So it's very hard sometimes not to see that. So thank you for bringing that up. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. We get so many, and I want to say this and throw it back to my son. I get so many veterans like you. I get vets all the time that I talk to that were in the medical field, and that first thing they'll say is, "Well, Ranger, I wasn't, jump out of planes and doing the stuff like you guys. I was I was just at the hospital." And I'll be like, "Hold on a minute, man. Stop, negating or making small the contribution that you had for this country. Stop it." And I have to tell them, I said, "Stop it. You don't know how many people you help. You don't know putting an IV in somebody at the right time and providing medication, the lives that you save." So, when I get vets on, like yourself sometimes, and I know they want, I said, "No, brother, you're just as valuable as some frontline person shooting a weapon. Don't negate the things that you did." And I'm telling you that because I want you to understand I appreciate, what you've done for our country.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Carl. Man, Carl, I definitely appreciate the same. And you've had just a really extensive career. I mean, from what I heard, you spent 15 years active duty, 7 years reserve, so about 22 total years in service. Is that accurate?
It was 8 years active and 7 years reserve.
Oh, 8 years active, 7 years reserve.
Yeah.
Sorry, got it.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, 15 years. So, I got a few questions for you. Just being somebody who went into the service, ended up finding a career, and from that career, just, built from there. I'm sure there are a lot of people who are probably in the same boat. They go into the service and really just don't know what to do next. And so, for somebody who may be getting started or maybe don't know much about the service itself, in your opinion, what's the most important lesson or personality trait someone would need to serve in the military?
Like I said before, determination. Have a plan and follow it. Stick with it.
Determination.
Stick with the plan. Determination and have a plan.
Awesome. What's one lesson that your job in the military taught you that you think everyone should learn at some point in their life?
I would say patience, but I learned patience later.
Yeah.
I learned patience later. Persistence. That persistence to do the job and to do a good job well. That's really what it boils down to. It's to do a good job and do a good job well.
That's great. That's awesome. And then here's the final question that we always love to ask at the end of our interviews, just the final period on the end. When your life is over, what do you want people to remember you for?
That's always a tough one. I want people to know that I was a good person. Really, I was a good person, was willing to help, wanted to help people, and I did it because I wanted to help people.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Go be a good person. Go and help people. That's amazing. Thanks a lot, Carl. It's been a pleasure to hear your story and all the different things that you've done. Thank you so much for your service, and thank you for being a hero.
Right. Thank you guys very much. I enjoyed talking with you guys. Thank you.
Same here. You're welcome. All right,
This
Dad.
is great. Thank you. This is great. And you know how I got to finish out this video today? We've had an incredible American hero. I mean, you're talking about really, and I'm going to say this, and Carl wouldn't say it, but he doesn't know how many lives he's changed and saved as a nurse in the military. So for all the veterans that you will never see, my brother, I want to tell you, thank you for saving my life. And thank you for being an American hero from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for that. All right. And I want to finish this video out like I always do. This is Ranger Johnson having a conversation with an American hero. And I'm telling you to stay in the fight.